Hey sportsmen, John Bergsma here, standing in front of beautiful Lake Mitchell where we fished last week here at Pilgrims Village Resort. Today's we got 5 great reports from you, and it's going to be an around the horn situation. We're going to start off with Captain Gary Zart at Lorain, Ohio on Lake Erie, where he is just slamming really nice sized walleyes slightly offshore. We're going to come up around the corner. We're going to bump up to Sheboygan, Michigan. That's right, the port of Sheboygan. We got 2 bites going on in Sheboygan. We've got the Lake Huron lake trout bite, and we've got a mullet lake walleye, and a little early for steelhead, but you're going to get that trolling bite going here on Mullet Lake. Then we're going to jump across the bridge, and we're going to head on into the little town of Curtis in the Manistique Lakes recreation area. They've got really good panfish going on South Lake, along with awesome largemouth bass. And on the big lake, they got a combination of walleye, smallmouth bass, and a few perch are starting to bite there. And we're going to come back around the corner, down over that bridge, and we're going to hit up into the middle of the state at Gaylord, Michigan. Captain Luke Fogarty has been guiding the streams on both the Ausable, the Manistique, and the smaller inland streams all the way from Manistique up through Gaylord, and the bite has been extremely good for really nice native brown trout on flies in small streams. And then we're going to bump across all the way down to the Port of Holland, Michigan. We're going to end up with Captain Mark Rapson and the Black Pearl out there on Lake Michigan, where right now the lake trout bite has been awesome. Coho and steelhead are starting to bite pretty good, and guess what? About a week or 2 from now, you're going to start seeing the big kings flooding back to the mouths of the river, which means that typical August bite for king salmon. Stay tuned. Well, hey everybody, we're going to start out today in the port of Lorain, Ohio, and that's right on the shores just off the western basin, slightly into the central basin. There between Port Clinton and Cleveland, Ohio is Lorain. And Lorain is one of those sleeper spots for year-round Lake Erie walleye. Now, it usually takes a month to get going right away. In the month of April, it's not so hot, but by May, Lorain is going, and let me tell you what, we are in late July right now, and Lorain is smacking. And what I love about Lorain is it's got that characteristic of having shallow fish, meaning you can catch shoreline fish there in that 20 to 40 foot depth range really well in the smaller size eater fish. But if you're looking for bigger fish, Captain Gary from Blue Dolphin and his son Nick tell me you can push offshore 9 to 12 miles, get out there in the deeper water, and you can get some really good average size fish without having to drive all the way east. So how's Gary doing it? Right now he's running, of course, a big boat, so he's offshore, and he's getting them with dipsy divers, and he's also getting the afternoon high bite going sometimes with bandits 100 to 140 back. But a lot of the action is happening right now on the dipsies and the spoons, where he is whacking really nice limits of fish. If you're looking for an awesome charter, Captain Gary Zart from Blue Dolphin Walleye Charters and his son Nick, who runs a small boat, well, if you call a Ranger 622 a small boat, but they do a great job between the really big boat and that smaller size boat. They can take parties of different sizes out and keep everybody happy. So give them a call, get out there to the Central Basin in the town of Lorain, and experience some really, really good midsummer walleye action.
Here's our RH1 adjustable rod holder. This is one of our most versatile rod holders for the money. All machined aluminum knuckles right here. There is a hub in the middle of this, so one of the most important things that everybody kind of struggles with on here is getting this rod holder to adjust, but it has a lot of positions and it's very easy to work with once you grasp it. So you actually have to pull out at the very bottom of this rod holder to get the adjustability out of it, and if you pull out to the side nice and easy, you will get all the adjustment you want, and it works just perfect. And that adjusts up and down that way, it will come all the way back inside the boat. So if you had to have a rod holder to worry about putting a cover on, it really helps in that aspect. And we have all of our teeth machined in the bottom, so we can rotate this around 360 degrees. I can fish off the back of the boat on here and run a bottom bouncer if I wanted to. I can fish it straight off the side of this boat, and I could run a dipsy diver out of here. That's how strong this setup is. So very, very versatile for the money on it and the strength. The RH1 rod holder. Check us out, traxstech.com.
So our next stop here is Cheboygan, Michigan, and we've talked about Cheboygan since last year, and what Cheboygan offers is a really good two-fisted approach to fishing. Now Cheboygan's got that gorgeous Lake Huron waters from the south end of Boys Blank all the way down to Rockport, where they've got this awesome lake trout fishery. Now it's a structure-orientated fishery, so you're going to be finding depths and flats off of structures like Spectacle Reef or Reynolds Reef, or the small humps that are around the south end of Boys Blank, as well as just the humps that are scattered all the way down the shoreline to Rockport. Now, what are you getting there? You're getting awesome catches of really good native Mackinaws and also a good number of planted fish. But what I love about Cheboygan is that you can find spots. You can actually find those ledges. Let's say the fish are holding between 50 and 70. You can find those 50 or 70 foot ledges off of higher structure, and you can troll and just kind of almost like walleye fishing, where you just drag a group of baits over top of a ledge, and it can be fast action. I mean, we've had it up there before where Captain Steve Hubert and I banged as many as 20 or 30 Lakers in a 5-hour period of time. Now, I realize a lot of you are skeptical about lake trout, but let me tell you, these are goby-based Lakers, so they taste really good as long as you eat them fresh or you smoke them. So the Lake Huron port out of Sheboygan, several of the bigger structures like Reynolds and Spectacle, as well as the smaller humps, are holding lots of fish. But let's go in tight to Mullet Lake. And what's happening at Mullet is the walleye are starting to really bite well on the trolling. Now, the trolling there happens, it happens pretty much that whole Aloha State Park shoreline on the north end of town. And where the fish are is the big key. I mean, walleye move, especially on a big inland lake like Mullet. So get yourself a set of 2, 3, even 4 colors of lead. Get yourself a 20-foot leader off of that, and you're either going to put small shad style baits like Shad Rap number 5s or 6s. You could run little rippers. You could run deep little rippers without lead if you were just looking to flatline, and you're basically going to fish 20 foot out to 40 foot, and you're going to be looking for depths that are just off of sloping breaks, and you're going to looking for those suspended arcs anywhere from 15 to 30 down. Now remember this about Mullet Lake, it's gin clean, so you don't have to hit these walleyes on the nose. You could be 10 foot over top of these walleyes. Let's say your bait was down 20 and the walleyes were at 30. Those walleyes can see your bait very easily. Another tip is run different segments of lead, 2, 3, 4 colors of lead, and put little Dreamweaver mini spoons on. Blue and silver with a little red on it is good. A crayfish color of copper with red and black spots. There's lots of different colors. Purple with copper is really a good color there too. And just get a spread of crankbaits and or spoons out. Get a couple guys in the boat so you can run 9 rods. Send a lot of different stuff out there between that 15 to 25 down range and just start trolling. When you bump into fish, obviously you'll know it. Mark it on your GPS, use your Garmin to know where those pods are, and then just do figure 8s on them. But right now, trolling from now until probably the end of August is going to fire up here on Mullet Lake out of the town of Sheboygan.
You know, a fishing boat isn't a fishing boat without rod holders, tool storage, and other accessories. And the Kraft Kodiak series has the combing pads you need to mount anything you're going to use. I'm Captain Lance Valentine. Let me show you real quick why I love my Kraft Kodiak. Wide combing pads that have 3/4 inch PTP reinforcement underneath, so you can drill right in without having to through drill and use fender washers. Remember, we're going to need all these accessories when we're fishing, and the Kraft Kodiak makes it very easy to mount them, have them safe and secure so you can get out and catch more fish.
So we're jumping across the mighty Mac and we're going to head over to the town of Curtis, Michigan. Now Curtis is one of my favorite places. Today's Tuesday. You know what? On next Saturday, this coming Saturday, just a few days from now, I'm going to be in Curtis for a week or 2, fishing on the lake, having a great family vacation at Pine Bluff with my kids and my wife. And we love this little area of the Upper Peninsula because it's a great base spot to launch out of. So if you're looking at how do I fish just the lakes in Curtis, well, let me tell you what. South Lake is probably one of the fishiest lakes anywhere in the state. It's a lot like Mitchell's that's right behind me. It's got a great population of walleye, largemouth bass, perch, and panfish. That's what South Manistique Lake is known for. That's what it's got. And you can catch all of them all summer long. It's not a finicky lake. It's a really good production lake where you can go there as long as you know how to present your bait. If you're pan fishing below a bobber, if you're casting, you know, you're hitting a combination of deep weed edges in midsummer or docks. And if you're looking for walleye, trolling bottom bouncers and spinners outside the breaks. And the little secret there is you can also troll for walleyes on South Lake in the open water basin areas where there are no weeds and just catch those suspended fish. Much the same way you would attack bird or mullet with crawfish and crawdad orientated, smaller shad style baits, 1, 2, 3 colors of lead. Just something to get you down a little bit and get you out away from the boat. Now, if you're looking for big lake, how do I fish big Manistique Lake, which is where my vacation resort is at and what I fish the most, you're really just covering water the same way, trolling those shad style baits between either flatlining them or doing 1, 2, 3 colors of lead. If you're perch fishing on big lake, you're just gonna want to bottom fish with a perch rig with either minnows, waxies, or worms. You really have to have all three with you because you just don't know necessarily how that's going to go. But Curtis, Michigan is a very productive set of lakes. South Lake and Big Lake Manistique and the town of Curtis is a productive area for just catching fish. And like I mentioned going into this, it's only an hour from Munising, an hour and a half from Marquette, an hour and a half from Escanaba, an hour and a half from the Sioux Locks. It's a great spot to position yourself to go take a 7-day vacation and see a lot of the Upper Peninsula just a couple of 2-3 hours away or less than 2 hours away. Kitchita-Kippy, the Big Spring, is also less than an hour away from Pine Bluff. You can go up to Oswald's Bear Ranch, the town of Newberry, and the whole upper Tequamanon area, just a hop, skip, and a jump away from Curtis. So this is a great spot to come. So check out these two lakes. The bite has been solid all season long. Hey, are you in the market for a small outdoor shed, carport, or small storage building? Visit my friends up at Midwest Steel Carports. They'll travel anywhere in the Lower Peninsula to install your shed or carport for you. Visit them online at MidwestSteelCarports.com. Hey, our spotlight today is for Captain Luke Fogarty out of Gaylord, Grayling, basically the whole central northern lower Michigan. And what Captain Luke is he's an inland river and stream guide. And he specializes in taking people out, teaching them how to fly fish on smaller streams all the way up to the bigger streams like the Au Sable and the Manistique. Now, Captain Luke tells me that right now, those midsummer native browns are biting very well. You're always going to mix in a brookie or a rainbow for sure, but he said the browns are biting very well, and he's got lots of different spots where they're biting well. If you've been looking to get into fly fishing, Captain Luke Fogarty's a great guy to have you do it. Why? Because he's a great paddler. He can take you on both just a drift trip, or a drift and get out and wade, a combination trip, or all one or all the other. But he's got lots of spots to choose from, and he's a great teacher. He's going to help you get into fly fishing, refine your game, and also get better at it so that every trip you put more and more fish in the boat and really get out of that essence of fly fishing and the experience of a day on the river that you really want to. The other thing is Luke offers some typical, more conventional methods like center pin drifting, floats and spawn, or floats and beads when the steelhead and the king bite is hot up there on the Manistique. And so he can do that conventional, even a spinning rod with spinners, if that's what your preference is. So Luke's equipped to do it all. He's located right there in the central northern lower Michigan, and he fishes that entire region. And he says right now the bite is very good for native browns on inland waters of northern Michigan. Are you in the market for a new trailer? For all your trailer needs, big or small, visit Beck's Trailer Superstore on Highway 127 north of St. John's. Well, we're going to end today probably a week earlier than I should, but Captain Mark Rapson from the Black Pearl tells me that the lake trout fishing has been steady and stellar all season long. He's also been picking off a consistent number of cohos, steelhead, and kings mixed into his bag, enough to keep him happy for sure. But Captain Mark is a talented charter captain, and he always tells me, John, when you get to the 1st of August, that usually marks the start of the bigger kings and the steelhead moving towards the river mouths to start staging for that fall run that usually happens right around the 1st of September. So if you're looking to get out, Captain Mark is a great option to experience consistent fish catching as well as the chance for a trophy fish. Now, the fish are all over the place, as you might imagine right now, because of wind. Wind is really going to change fish location during the mid to late summer months. Why? Because you've got good warm water set up on the beaches and you've got cold water pushed offshore. But if you get a complete wind switch, it can blow that warm water out and suck that cold water up. That upswell can happen in a matter of hours, and it can change those fish location by 5-10 miles and bring them tight to shore or push them offshore, just depending on the direction of the wind. But like I said, Captain Mark from the Black Pearl is an expert. He's fished these waters for decades. He understands how those fish relate to those winds, and he usually catches fish on a daily basis. So I can't really give you locations or presentations right now. The best thing I would say is, if you've got an open day and it coincides with one of Mark's open days, go out for one of the best charter experiences that you could ever have. The other little tip here is Lake Makatawa, right there in Holland. If you get a north or northeast wind for even a half a day or a day, that can change the water temps dramatically, and what happens is it pushes walleye into the channel right there at Makatawa. Now, this is a very normal thing that happens under a northeast wind conditions, where those shoreline outer pier fish will all push into the lake to stay in more stable water temperatures and get away from that super cold water. That can be a great opportunity for you to troll the shore, the channel edges and the first sets of docks inside the lake itself, and catch some really nice bags of walleyes doing it. That's a simple presentation of 50 to 60 feet out with a split shot about 10 foot in front of a Rapala minnow and just putting it out on a board. Now remember, these can be trafficky little channel areas in the summertime, so sometimes you might want to choose to do that a little bit later in the evening, like 8 o'clock on, or super early in the morning from like 5:30 till 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning. But the Port of Holland is kicking out fish. It's time to get there. It's time to experience the great fishing that is around the great state of Michigan. Hey guys, thanks so much for joining us. This was kind of a bounce around report because, frankly put, I want to give everybody their fair share and their due, and when stuff's happening, I want to talk to you about it. And we're here in midsummer now, and so there's going to be a lot of trolling bites that start on bigger size inland lakes throughout the whole state of Michigan. This is one area that I know a lot of guys want to improve their game, how to catch trolling walleye on crankbaits. So we're going to talk about that probably pretty consistently from now until September. Thanks for joining us here on the Fisherman's Digest. Thanks for joining us and watching these video reports. We'll see you again next week.